This episode is sponsored by Where to Shop and Dine. Download the app on Google Play Store or Apple App Store today. Connecting colleges and communities. Hi, you're watching SceneTV and I'm Maya McNulty, your host. Schenectady Cable Entertainment News and Events. Excited to have in our studio today Jazmin Brown. She is the founder and owner, the CEO of the Jazzy Kids Care, a musical daycare. Welcome, Jazzy.
Thank you, Maya, so much. I really appreciate you inviting me out, and I'm just excited to be here.
Great. I want you to share your story of Jazzy, the musical daycare. And Jazmin, I love your story. You're empowering women all around the region. You're in Albany, Waterville, Green Island, Clifton Parks, now Schenectady.
Right.
So tell us your story, honey.
Well, it's a crazy story. It's one of those you wouldn't believe it. One day I just woke up and decided what my life was doing was not enough and it was not going to work any longer. So I decided that I was going to go be brave and quit my job and open a daycare. It made sense to me because I had 3 kids. So it's like, I'm not seeing them with my job, so let's try something different. What could it hurt? And it worked. Now I'm on location number 3. I'm excited. One in Waterville, one in Green Island, one in Clifton Park. It's just been an amazing journey.
Yeah. So let's back it up a little. What were you doing that was just draining the life out of you?
Oh, well, being a single mother first is draining because you're carrying the weight of 2 people. So that was enough for me because I had to meet financial needs for the children. I had to meet emotional needs. And that's hard when you're working a job that's demanding, which was dialysis. I was a dialysis technician, which required me to be to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting out at 10 o'clock at night sometimes. I was just barely not seeing my kids at all. Yeah. So that was enough for me to be motivated to try something new.
Yeah. And were you missing homework time and dinner time and all that?
So I was missing homework time. I was missing the bed stories. We used to do our bedtime stories all the time. Once I got this job, that got eliminated. Mm-hmm. Dinners, we was eating McDonald's all the time. I was like, this is not conducive to our health now.
Yeah.
So I knew something had to change, and that's when I decided to open Jazzy Kids Care.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Jazzy's Kids Care because you found a niche in the daycare industry, musical daycare. So tell us about that.
So my logo is a little baby with a saxophone. So someone says, why does this baby holding a saxophone if there's no music? A lot of my parents were saying that. I'm like, you're right. Let's add some music to this daycare. So one day I sat down and brainstormed. I reinvented my business and turned it into a musical daycare. Mm-hmm. And now we offer piano lessons to all children that is the age of 3 or above. We offer piano lessons through Smartboard, and then they demonstrate it on a baby grand piano. A lot of the parents love it. The kids love it. They pick it up so easy. It's like a piece of cake to them.
It's really enriching. So you have piano teachers that come on premises.
So
how does that work?
We used to do that. We used to hire piano teachers that already had the background. So what I found to be more conducive was to train my staff. So what we do is we send them off to get piano lessons for a week because it's only an introductory level. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be Beethoven or Mozart. You just want to get a basic understanding of piano. So you can teach 3 to 5-year-olds. And they come in, they get their training, and then they're before you know it, they're loving playing the piano.
Yeah, and that's also been proved to enhance their math abilities and their cognitive thinking and skills. So you definitely found a niche there. Tell us your business model in your daycare, in your first location, because you do offer overnight care as well, correct?
Yes, so the first daycare is a home-based daycare. So because it's home, I always want to give it that home feeling. And I have a lot of parents that do work all different shifts. So we decided to offer 24 hours. It's a very homey feeling. We keep it nice and neat and clean. We have companies that come in and sanitizes and deep cleans every day. Just keep it a home feeling opposed of the center. Because especially for that age group, it's for 0 to 3-year-olds. They, sometimes miss mom a little more, needs more soothing. So we built that type of environment for them. And I'm so excited about that location in Waterville because it's perfect for moms that work non-traditional hours. So it's just been working, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, you have been a prayer to so many women. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to come to a couple of your events that you've had. And thank you so much for including me. I learned so much. And I said, I got to get this girl on SceneTV so she can get her message out there. So Jazmin Brown, so welcome to have you here. Share a little bit more of your story about the children and what they're doing and learning, and how your kids are influencing them to become good citizens and leaders.
So not only do we teach piano lessons, they also have an hour, sometimes 45 minutes. It depends, you know, on the children. Of academics where they're doing science. We do science projects. We'll build a volcano. We'll do just prediction and see what happens so they can kind of guess. We do sensory. We do reading. We do math. We actually have an iPad station where the kids can FaceTime mom if they're having a bad day. We have a lot of apps that's educational on the iPad. So it just has a lot of different outlets for the kids to explore their minds.
Yeah, it's very innovative because you know what, it is a hard thing for mothers to just drop their kids off and go to work and then think about them and how they're doing. And so you kind of give them that virtual opportunity to see, hey, this is what my kid's doing today. How cool is this?
And not only that, Maya, the great thing is that we also offer surveillance cameras that any parent can see right from their phone any time of the day. Just one click and you're in, and you can see from all angles.
So it gives you a peace of mind.
Absolutely. And I that was something I was thinking. If I had kids, well, I do have kids, but when I had kids in daycare, what did I want? And I wanted the access to see them whenever I wanted and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a new mom.
Yeah, so. Of course, of course. Well, I have an only child, and so I was definitely overprotective. I think I even showed up to the daycare and I said, here's pizza, everyone, just because I wanted to be a part of it, her experience. So, yeah, really cool. Let's talk about educational background because you were doing dialysis at what hospital?
I started off at Fresenius in North Carolina, then I moved here and I went to Reuben. That is located in Clifton Park. And I love dialysis, don't get me wrong, I loved it. But the hours just wasn't working for us anymore, and the demand that it had. So I don't have much background as far as education besides a high school diploma. And that's the great thing about childcare. You don't need that college background. You just really need to be patient, nurturing, a lot of things that women are already, you know, after kids, patience, I have to be patient.
Right. So, well, even just having your own kids, there's no rule book on that.
Right, exactly. So it was perfect. It's like I already met the work requirements to be a daycare provider. Great. So like I said, I stepped foot into it and and
you've been meeting some great people too in the cities of Albany, Waterville, and in Clifton Park that have been actually encouraging you and motivating you. And tell us about how your funding. Did you do something with SCORE, or did you small business loans or anything like that? How did you fund this?
Well, I'm so against business loans because I feel like once you've worked to build something beautiful, you now come out to a nightmare because you got to pay all these loans back, like college student loans. So I decided that I was just going to blood and sweat and work my tail off to get that money. And 24-hour home daycare, I was working that. Weekends we offer as well. We do offer transportation. We just offer all things that most daycare providers aren't willing to do. That is what keeps us above, and that is what allows me to produce enough income to keep growing. And it's just all about making yourself available 100% to your business and just being totally dedicated to it.
Yeah, you definitely round up a tribe of moms that really love what you offer. Right. It's a beautiful story. Are you excited about your third location?
Oh, I'm so excited.
I know you just cut the ribbon for your second location, and here I have you jumping. So let's talk about your business growth in such a short period of time. When did you start Jazzy's Kid Care?
I started Jazzy Kids Care in May 2013, and as soon as I opened that location, it started booming. Within a couple months, I was able to purchase a new home, and we expanded to more kids inside the home. Once I got inside the home, the larger home, I got all the phone calls, and I couldn't fit them in the house anymore. So I was like, okay, it's time for a center. So we opened the center. The center hasn't even, the ribbon cutting just happened. We're already overbooked. So I'm like, okay, it's time for another location. So, of course, me being me, I went and opened a location in Clifton Park, and we're starting to go ahead and move into that and getting things turned around to turn into a daycare
Yeah,
center.
you've got some great niches too, just with the technology and the innovation that you've brought into the business. How about your staff? Tell us about them.
Staff, awesome. A lot of the great things about them that they are all CPR first aid. They all have to go through the New York State background check. So you have that security that someone that has went through a trial of tests is watching your child. They all go through extensive training. They all love me for that. We do monthly trainings. We do monthly staff meetings, and we go over, we look over the cameras, things that they, might have missed, things that we can improve. I'm constantly trying to invest in my staff because I believe the more I invest in them, the better they will perform. And they do an awesome job with the kids. They treat them just like their own. And like I said, I think once again, it's just that nurturing side of us as women. It comes natural.
Yeah, definitely. I love the fact that it's a musical daycare because I think that that's missing in people's lives because music is so soothing and calming, and it can make you laugh, it can make you cry, it can really get that moment. So enriching that within your center is really a brilliant thing. I've heard somewhere, or I've seen somewhere, maybe on Facebook, that you're starting to teach classes on how to operate and run your own daycare. Is this true?
That is absolutely true.
Okay, so expand on that.
What I discovered, Maya, is that I was able to build something from ground up. And I did go through my own sets of trials and tribulations, but I was able to survive them and keep growing. So that made me think that what if I could offer what I know to other individuals to help them experience the joy that I have of continuing to grow. Because a lot of people get stuck. How do I get the daycare out of my home? How do I grow? How do I keep expanding? And I feel like I've kind of learned the success tips for that. And I want to help people not make the mistakes I made and show them tips where they can do it, like such as you said, business loans. There's other ways around that. Some of us don't know that.
Yeah, sure.
We constantly get discouraged. We didn't get the business loans. We kind of give up. But there's ways you can maneuver around that.
Yeah.
And I want to teach those type of things.
Yeah, and where are you going to be teaching these classes?
So on April 23rd, I have a seminar at Bluestone Bistro that is in Latham, and it's at 9 a.m., and it's going to last to 3 p.m., and it's going to be great. I have so many guest speakers come in. I have an accountant come in to speak about finances. I have just an awesome setup. It's just going to be a great experience, and I think that every child care provider that comes will not leave the same.
Yes,
I
of course.
I just feel like they're going to be empowered to keep growing and do better.
And if they wanted to register for that event, how do they do that?
So if you want to register, you would need to go to Jazzy Kids Care. That is on Facebook as well. You can find the link and go right in there and have two different types of tickets, general admissions or VIP. And you definitely want to get the VIP ticket because the VIP ticket offers a luncheon with me, 5 coaching phone calls, and you also get a daycare center starter kit. So this kit is going to teach you how to start your own daycare with the information that I have used.
You are so entrepreneurial. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yes.
I love it, love it, love it. So keep telling us more. So they're going to get a VIP pass with you,
Yes.
A kit to start their own daycare, and what else?
A nice lunch. That's what most my favorite part. And it's Bluestone Bistro has just renovated, so it's a nice ambiance. They get to network, they get to mingle, they get to meet other child care providers who may be going through the same struggles that they're going through. And we all just kind of get to sit down and share ideas. I just think it's just a wonderful thing for the community.
Yeah, very collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that they're all going to be empowered once they leave here, and questions that they are unanswered will be answered after this.
Yeah, and you know what? You're such a good leader. You know,
Thank you,
women,
Maya.
you're empowering women of all sorts of walks of life, and that's really brilliant. And then they're trusting you with their children, their
Yes.
most prized possession.
Absolutely.
So that's a real gift and honor to have. So I'm really proud to call you my friend, and your story is so beautiful. Anything else you want to share?
Just that you can go check me out on Facebook if you guys are interested at www.facebook.com, Jazzy Kids Care. As well, we have our email. You can email us at jazzykidscare.com, and I'm Jazmin. As well as you can go to our webpage at www.jazzykids.com. And I'm Jazmin Brown, and also I'm a daycare coach. So if you guys are interested in any type of coaching, I'm that girl for you.
Yeah, awesome. What a great story. I am so excited for you, and I'm excited for your second location, your third location, and everything else that's great in your life. So thank you so much for being on Scene TV. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Maya, so much.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to the studio. I'm Maya McNulty, your host, Schenectady Cable Entertainment News and Events. And you know, I came across this great book, While Waiting for Change by Cecilia Thomas. So I invited Celia to come into the studio so we could talk about her story. It's a story that really hits home about domestic violence. And you know, I am so thrilled to have met you and for you to share your story with me. I really appreciate that, and you're such a brilliant person. So welcome to the studio, Celia.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And I'd like to start off just reading the first poem in the book that talks about what the book is about. And it's called While Waiting for Change. While waiting for change, I'm praying and fasting. While waiting for change, enduring and long suffering. While waiting for change, I'm loving and caring. While waiting for change, I'm patient but hurting. While waiting for change, my feelings are changing. My heart is breaking. I'm fearing and dreading each day that I'm living with someone who refuses to change, states he won't change. In the midst of my waiting for him to change, a miscarriage, mentally breaking down, slowly dying inside from stress and disease. Can't live this painful song. Tolerated it too long. I've got to change and move on.
Oh God, that is deep. That is deep.
Thank you.
Beautiful poem. I mean, it's not really a beautiful story, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Queens, and you know, with father, mother, and so you know, I enjoyed my childhood, but I was very naive to the things in the street. I didn't hang out and use drugs or smoke or anything like that. So as I started getting older, I was looking for some friendship, you know, from a male, of course, you know, because you're female. And so I had feelings, and it just seemed like I was real thin, you know. It just seemed like everything about me, nobody really paid attention to me. So as I got older and I was in church, I was singing and going different services and things like that, I saw some young men that, oh, you know, he's nice or whatever.
Yeah, of
but
course.
nobody was paying attention to me. So then I started getting really lonely and feeling rejected, feeling like, you know,
This is really hard on your self-esteem.
And why don't they like me? You know, I did meet this one young man, and he, you know, he liked me for a little while, you know, but that was about it until I got much older. And so now I'm really feeling lonely and becoming more vulnerable to just anybody, you know, like one of the poems, is there anybody out there? But so I just said there has to be something that I can do. And, you know, and then my ex-husband, I had met him through his mother and his aunt. And so I knew them since the 70s. And
So this man that you knew for a long time, his family, you really trusted him.
well, I didn't know him as much as I knew his family, because he was already out there in the streets running around and, you know, doing whatever.
Sure.
But I just felt like I wanted to help him, you know, to get over the addiction, get over the situation that he was in. And I found myself the rescuer. And it's important not to be the rescuer, because the person ultimately has their own choice and will to do whatever they're going to do. So I put that little Superwoman cape on, and I would say that it was torn to shreds pretty much, because, you know, it didn't make a difference in changing him.
Yeah. Why did you write this book? While Waiting for Change. Why did you really write this? Is this a release for you, as in the anxiety and letting go of things and people that no longer serve you? Or were you looking to tell a story so that anyone out there that needed help has an outlet or a person to reach out to? What was the mission behind this?
I would say both in the beginning, because after he left out of my life, all of the hurt and the anger and hearing the voices and the cursing and everything going around in my head, I had to release it. I was crying so much and I couldn't go to sleep, you know, for a long period of time because these things were just running around in my head. So I began to sit down on my bed and started writing. And I started writing the story, and then the poems started coming out. And I'm like, wow, God, this is crazy. But I felt the release, because now it's not in my head, it's on paper.
Yeah.
And it's important that when you're going through things like that you're able to write it down.
Sure.
I believe that it's very important to write down how you feel so that it's not stuck in your head.
Yeah, and it also can weigh you down and put you in a depression.
Yes.
And are those some of the things that happen to you with depression and anxiety?
Absolutely. The anxiety, definitely, you know, and the depression, feeling down, feeling the loss, because it's almost like you just lost your loved one. And that's the way I felt, like I lost a loved one, somebody that I really loved and cared for. It just wasn't working, and so I felt the loss and grief, like as if he, you know.
What message do you have to anyone that is going through domestic violence or abuse of some sort, and how can you tell the difference?
Well, any type of verbal, financial abuse, that means withholding money or taking what you have, and the emotional abuse where they're constantly threatening you and telling you that I'm going to do this if you don't do that. And these are abusive signs that in a way turns into domestic violence.
Sure.
Or domestic abuse. And the violent part is usually the physical part. And but by the statistics, they have shown that the emotional part is just as bad or even worse than the physical.
You know, I mentioned that only because in your book here as well, you wrote definitions out that you've used so that people can tell what the difference is with abuse and domestic violence and stuff, so that you can tell the difference of what's going on. So that was really brilliant on your part. The poems are absolutely, they're beautiful, heart-wrenching, kind of hard to read and swallow, but it is your story and they are beautifully written.
Thank
you. You showed so much vulnerability in this book. What else, where can we find this book?
You can go on to Amazon.com and get the paperback book, or you can get it in an ebook. You can download it on Amazon.com, and Barnes & Noble, you can download the ebook. Also, it's in the Open Door bookstore right here on J Street, downtown Schenectady. And then we're having a fundraiser on the 22nd of April, which is this Friday, at 1858 State Street, New Life Ministries Church. And you can also pick up a copy there. I will be doing a book signing, and there's a pasta dinner, a $10 pasta dinner as a fundraiser to help to pay off the cost of the
and if they
publishing.
can't make it to that, they can also go on to call to prayer 789@yahoo.com, right? Because you're trying to raise money also to help offset the printing cost of your book so that you can publish more and tell your story.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, again, call to prayer 789@yahoo.com. So that's going to help you out to defray some of the costs.
Yes.
So what happens if nobody wants to change?
Well, I decided that I had to change. So if you don't see the person changing, then there's something that you're going to have to do in order to keep your identity. Because there's a poem in there that talks about losing me, because I was so caught up and mixed up into what he was doing until I lost me. So if the person is not changing, you don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
So,
and it does happen, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I lost who I was until I realized that he wasn't going to change. And so I had to change. And one of the poems says, I changed and moved on. I had to.
Yeah. So letting go, let's talk about that. That is one of the hardest things for people to do, is let go.
Oh,
so how did, I mean, besides the book, because it is beautifully written, how did you say, this is it, I'm letting go?
Well, after 20 something years, hoping and believing and trusting and waiting and wishing, I said, I'm physically dying.
Yeah, you were bankrupt physically,
stressed.
right?
I was stressed. I went through breast cancer. I went through so many different things. And so I just said, I met a woman of God that really just started empowering me and strengthening me. She didn't tell me to leave him. She didn't tell me to get a divorce. But I began to feel like I'm worth more than this.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important, that people know their worth. People know their self-value, so that they don't allow someone to make them feel less than who they are. And that includes the self-esteem, self-confidence. And so that's what started helping me, is the empowerment, the prayer, the church, and the support.
Yeah.
To say, you know what, Cecilia, you have a lot to give, and you have a lot to offer, and this is not where you're going to die.
I love in your book how you also wrote that about forgiveness.
Yes.
And letting go in that way too. So how important that really is. So yeah, I mean, even saying, don't, if you do know my husband, or you haven't met him, in reading this book, don't judge him, because you've already forgiven him. So, and even your father that you wrote about in here. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So forgiveness, a lot of people don't know how to do that and just let it go.
Yes.
So,
and and that's why I put that in there, because when a person has an underlying issue and they have emotional problems, or they're dealing with drug addiction, you cannot base what they do on who they really are, because they're not who they really are when they have a substance that's controlling their behavior. And that was the important thing, because, when he wasn't, it was just awesome, cooking, cleaning,
just normal,
fixing that. Yes.
All the reasons you fell in love with him. Yes, of course. I guess a big question is when someone is going through domestic violence or abuse, how do they get out?
Well, it's very important that you begin to be empowered, first of all.
To love yourself.
Right. And to see that you are worth more than what's happening to you. And then find, there's many agencies out there, to find people to talk to, because you need you need a safety net. And there are many professionals out there, there are many organizations out there that can become your safety net, because you just don't want to run out. You just don't know how they're going to react. Yeah, you don't want to
go out there and vomit and everything. This is my problem. So,
because
so trusting
if
people,
they find
right?
out,
Finding the right network of people to trust them.
Absolutely.
Was that hard for you?
It was gradually happening, because I found someone to talk to. So little by little, week by week, year by year, I began to feel that strength to say, I've got to let go. I've got to let go. And change, a lot of times change comes in a person when you let go, because I was enabling him. And I have a poem in there talking about enabling.
Yeah, I do want you to read another one of your beautiful poems before. But what story would you like to share on maybe someone looking to try to find help? How did you do that? Except I know that you were heavy, not heavy, but you were into your church and ministry. Was that where you found peace and solitude?
Yes.
So is that something that you would recommend?
If that's what the person has, a connection with the church or connection with people spiritually wise, yes. And if not, then there, like I said, there are agencies, there are counselors out there that can also help guide them out of and into a safer place.
Yeah. Any recommendations or anything that you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap up with another poem?
Well, like I said, in the book, get help. That is the biggest thing. Get help. Get empowered. Get to know who you are, and then know that all the gifts and the talents that you have is important.
Yeah.
And somebody else is looking for you and your talents and your giftings, and so you can't stay in the background or hiding underneath the hurt and the pain and the abuse, because there's more out there for you, and that is the biggest thing. There's more out there for you.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love this poem that you wrote, and I'd like for you to share it.
Okay, great. This one is called Is Anybody Out There? Is anybody out there for me? Is anybody out there who sees me, sees that I'm good-hearted, sees that I'm kind, sees that I'm beautiful, inside and out? I'm not arrogant or think that I'm it, but I know God gave me something to give. Is there anybody out there worthy of a good wife that I can be? Is there anybody out there that understands their destiny, my destiny, and how they intertwine? Is there anybody, somebody, the body, a body that's for me? I'm tired. I'm lonely. Can't wait any longer. Where is the somebody for me?
Cecilia Thomas, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I hope that everyone goes out there on Barnes & Nobles and gets your book.
Thank
you can
you.
get the ebook on barnesandnoble.com. That's the ebook only. And then Amazon in paperback. Again, you can also get it here at the Open Door. So thank you so much
Yes.
for being on
Thank
SceneTV.
you.
Always a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
And it's great to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.